Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast.
Can't even recognize this place. Too many pieces of our past mistakes.
Hi, I'm Maggie, and I believe real change starts from the inside out. So let's work together to improve our money and our lives from the inside out. We will explore all things money and our relationship with it. Join me each week with a rotating set of co-hosts, friends, and interviews. Let's jump in.
It's time, we going round and round and round and round and round.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Maggie.
I'm excited to talk about AI today.
I'm excited too, but how does the listener know that this is even us and not just an AI version of us?
Well, that's a good point. I'm going to go with my AI knowledge on like a scale of 1 to 10 and my capabilities. I think I'm pretty capable, but it's probably like a 2 or something. And so I don't even know how to do like a deep fake of our voices. I'm sure people do. I know people can. This person can't. So you got the real...
Neither can this person. So rest assured, listener, this is really us.
Okay. If it was an AI version of me, I would get it to stay a little more on track, be a little more focused. So you'll know it's not AI actually, just from that angle. But in case you're wondering where you are, hello, welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast. This is a personal finance podcast, not an AI bot talking, real people. We are focused on redefining wealth from the inside out. Every week I speak with a rotating set of co-hosts about a different financial topic to help you improve your financial mindset and tactics. And today we have Greg, also known as my husband, and we are going to talk about everything AI. What AI is, some warnings of how to use it legally and ethically, how to actually use it for free, and some situations and very specific prompts that you can use to leverage AI to help you save money, earn more money, and just overall improve your finances and your life.
And as we both just mentioned, neither of us are expert in AI. This is not meant to be an advanced course in AI. This is really just how two people are using it in everyday life and how we think it can be useful for many people if they aren't currently using it.
Yeah. So let's jump in. In the spirit of leveraging AI, I want to start with what AI, also known as artificial intelligence, is. And in the spirit of talking about AI today, I asked AI, specifically Microsoft's Copilot chatbot, which we'll talk more about some specifics later, but I asked Copilot to explain concisely what AI is, and here's what they said. So, I could have written my own explanation, but this is verbatim, and I'm telling you this is verbatim written by AI, because we'll get into some of the legal and ethical things of plagiarism and stuff like that. So I want you to know this was written by AI, this explanation I'm about to say. Artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science that focuses on creating machines and software capable of performing tasks that typically require human intelligence. These tasks include understanding natural language, recognizing patterns, solving problems, and making decisions. AI systems can learn from data, improve over time, and adapt to new situations, making them useful in a wide range of applications such as chatbots, recommendation systems, and autonomous vehicles. AI encompasses a variety of technologies such as machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing. So that's AI explaining itself. Well, now I actually think it'd be fun for Greg AI, which is what I'm going to call Greg today, the real Greg, to explain it in layman's terms.
Well, in essence, it's like having a really smart computer that can actually learn from its own experiences. It can solve problems and it can make decisions on its own. And so prior to AI, computers and the internet did a lot of cool things, but they were in essence a program that a human had to write and say, when this happens, or if this question is asked, provide this answer or do this. Basically very elaborate if this, then that statements. AI, on the other hand, actually is able to answer questions on its own, and it is able to write code on its own. And so it takes all this information that's out there in the world and condenses it and can answer questions. It can actually reason. And so it's a pretty big advancement in computing. And is useful for many things in everyday life, which is kind of what we want to talk about. I also have to say, I was kind of impressed with AI's answer for what is AI. If someone came to me and said, Greg, what is Greg? I would not be able to provide nearly as concise of an answer, I don't think.
Well, AI could actually help you come up with a concise answer for what is
That's
Greg.
true. I should probably do that just so I have a good little elevator speech next time someone asks me, what is Greg?
Who are you? What is Greg? What is a Greg? So, well, one thing AI can't do, Greg, is I'm enjoying a very nice warm cup of tea that Greg just brought me, made for me, brewed for me. AI can't do that.
Yet.
So. Yet, you're right.
Eventually it will control humanoid robots.
Humanoid. Is that a word? Humanoid robots?
I think so, yeah. It's basically a robot that is in human-esque form.
Oh, okay.
Tesla, actually. Tesla's not a popular word these days in many circles, but they're actually
Including
developing...
our circle.
They're developing robots that, crazy stuff's coming.
Yeah.
Not there yet, but soon.
Okay, so I think AI is so cool. I've been using it for so many things in my life lately, which we'll get into some examples of this. One of the things I actually mentioned on last week's podcast with Liz when we briefly mentioned AI is like one of our favorite free things lately. I'm like really bummed that AI was not around when I was still getting paid to do things and working. Like it was around, but it was not easily accessible to broad consumers for free when I retired or if it was, I just wasn't aware of it. I don't think it was even like a lot of those tools had not been released yet for consumers to access for free when we retired in May of 2022. Yeah, 2022.
ChatGPT launched on November 30th, 2022.
That's literally like launched right after we retired, within months. Had someone told me ChatGPT was coming, I might have stuck it out for another year, you know? Well, I'm like half joking, but I will say there are so many cool uses for this. And there's so many things that I feel like would have just been like, made me more efficient at work, maybe more effective at work. And I use it for so many things in my, small work endeavors and side hustles and hobbies and volunteer projects and things that I do, that I've just scratched the surface of all the things that I should use it for if I was working professionally. So we'll get into some of those examples, but like, it's just kind of like, it's like sad, you know?
I agree. I really wish I had it. From everything from helping with writing emails and written communications to things I would do on Excel and data that I was trying to work with. I think it would have automated so many things that I had to learn to do manually.
Yeah, even just counsel advice on certain situations. I mean, we're going to get into some examples, so I don't want to steal the thunder on all the like cool examples that we will get into towards the end of this episode. Financially speaking, AI can actually save you money by allowing you to DIY things that you might otherwise have paid services for. It is like having a free coworker to like help and bounce ideas off of and to like make you better at things and improve the way you do certain things. And I also think one of the coolest things about AI is that you can actually use AI to teach you how to use AI better. So we'll get into some of these examples later, but it's like, you ask AI to do something and then you give it clarifying prompts. And then it finally, when you're happy with something at the end of a longer interaction, you can actually say to AI, like, what prompt would have gotten me to this answer more quickly? And then you can save that prompt and like use it again in the future. And there's just so many things. I'm like really jazzed about AI on this like little level that I can use it for personally. I just think there's so many cool applications that no matter like what field you work in, what industry you work in, what type of person you are, what your hobbies and interests are, like there's something that AI can do for you. And it is usually going to be for free, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that it can do. Interestingly, there are a lot of apps that are already using AI behind the scenes. So even if you don't think you are interacting with AI because you're not specifically logging into one of the known chatbots, you are very likely interacting with AI in other apps or programs that you're already using.
Yeah, sometimes an app is like marketing it and telling you that there's AI capabilities, which I've noticed a lot of lately. It seems to be a marketing tactic of like you pay for an enhanced service of something and you get more AI. Okay, so while we talk about all the things that AI is doing, let's get into like a few warnings and caveats before we get too far into this. So I think the biggest one, and we've like talked to our kids about a lot of these because our kids are familiar with AI and use it for various things. If you use AI to help you write something, you cannot use that. Well, you shouldn't. You can, I guess, but you shouldn't use that word for word. Like that is still plagiarism. There are also a ton of tools and technologies now that are specifically written and coded to spot trends in AI language and to spot things that have been written by AI. And schools and universities are using them because there's like, you could go into AI and say, hey, write me a 2-page paper about the Roman Empire and make it sound like a, senior in high school wrote it. And I mean, it's crazy what you can ask it to do. And now you can't take something like that and turn it in. That is illegal, unethical. Plagiarism could get you kicked out of school. So I recommend using AI for like ideas and thought starters. It is a complementary tool to use alongside your own thoughts and ideas. It should not become your thoughts and ideas.
Totally agree, and really well said.
Yeah, thank you. And if you're using it for certain things at work, I also think like the ethical right thing to do is to disclose that you're using it, especially because you don't want to get like caught or called out on something where someone's like, that's weird, that sounds weird. And you're like, oh yeah, actually AI wrote it, right? So if you're going into like a brainstorming session at work and you wanted to have some initial thought starter ideas, like that's a cool use of AI, but come in and say, hey, I put this prompt into AI and like, this is to get us started and kind of get our creative juices flowing today. Or like I had a, friend and neighbor who wrote a new SOP, standard operating procedure, for like our snack bar summer employees at the pool. And he used AI to like write it and get it into an outline and gave it, some of the information it needed to have in it, but got it into this like really nice looking doc. And he told everyone like, hey, I used AI to do this, So if it was a little like wonky in certain areas, nobody was like, hey, why do you sound like a machine? Actually, AI is pretty good at not sounding like a machine, I think. But my point is, I would personally recommend disclosing when you use AI for certain types of things. I also would be, mindful of personal information that you share with AI tools. So like, I wouldn't like type in your social security number. There's really no reason you would need to do that anyways. All of these tools have different, data privacy regulations and security measures in place and things like that. But there are settings where you can actually go in, and I'll include a video that shows like how you go in and adjust your data privacy settings in ChatGPT as an example. But you could actually ask AI how to adjust your data privacy settings in whatever tool you're using, and it will tell you how to do it. You could also go and Google it. It's just I think it's important to just be aware of that. I'm not personally super worried about that. I have like a somewhat low expectation of privacy. I just think like there's so much stuff is being, recorded and leveraged for marketing purposes. And like, I'm just sort of used to it. And I don't know if okay with it is even the right term, but it's just like
resigned to it.
I'm resigned to it. It's a reality of the world this modern world that we live in. And it is what it is. So, but if you're super concerned about it, just be careful what you type in. Like, you don't have to use personally identifying details. You don't ever need to type in like your social security number. And you can go in and adjust different privacy settings in the tools you're using by going into some of the preferences. So that's one thing you might want to think about.
Other quick thing to note is that usually when you ask AI to pull together something for you or ask it a question, it will provide references, very similar to how an essay would have back in the day,
like an old school, like when I had to write a paper and like put my footnotes in.
And so that's a good thing to know that those references are there. You can double check it. AI is not always right, so you may want to look at some of the references that it's pulling from. And if you are using some of that information, you may want to cite some of those references as well, because that is the original source of that information.
Yeah, I'll sometimes see something sourced and then I'll be like, oh, that's kind of a funny source. And I'll go look at it and I'm like, yeah, that explains why the answers I'm getting back are like, feel a little funny or off, or like they might have misunderstood my question. When I say that like AI might have misunderstood what I'm asking. And so I'll kind of clarify what I'm asking. And so one thing I would not use AI for is investing advice. So it can offer you some like, pros and cons on things and kind of summarize like what's out there on the internet. But like, I would not ask it for investing advice personally.
Yeah, I think, and it'll summarize kind of the general themes of portfolios. People generally recommend this much in U.S. equities, and it can recommend those things. You may choose to follow that or not, but I definitely wouldn't go asking for specific stock advice from AI. Probably wouldn't do that for anyone. I don't buy a lot of individual stocks, so
Yeah.
I guess it's probably no different, but
AI will do it. So like as an example, Greg, I just typed into Microsoft Copilot, that just so you know which one I typed it into. I said, what stock should I invest in if I want to get rich? And it said like investing in stocks can be a great way to build wealth, but it's important to remember that all investments come with risk. Here are some stocks that are often recommended for long-term growth potential. And then it says like Apple, Google, Adobe, Airbnb, PayPal, Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. I like that it included an index fund in there. Then it even said like it's crucial to assess your personal financial risk and risk tolerance before making any investment decisions, diversifying your portfolio. So it actually gives like, I don't know, a solid answer to that. But back to my sourcing point, I should say it gives a well-rounded answer to that. To my sourcing point, if you then go click on the two sources it used for that answer, it's a Forbes article and a Motley Fool article. And the Motley Fool article is the 10 best stocks to buy and watch now in February 2025. So again, it's not necessarily going to like it gave me what stocks I should buy. It didn't give me an analysis of like the data and research behind picking individual stocks versus investing in a total market index fund. Now, had I asked it to compare those two things, it would give me an answer. But I think our point here is we are not suggesting you use ChatGPT for investment advice. We'll get into some examples of where we think it actually is helpful related to your personal finances, but I don't suggest you use it for like specific stock picks or anything like that. It's not what it's designed for and meant for. Also, it's not a human. It doesn't have feelings. It can't trade off ethical decisions. I mean, it could tell you the pros and cons of something. It doesn't really, though it doesn't like arguably have EQ, it actually like talks in a way that implies it does have EQ. It's supposed to, right? It's like the way that it is written is supposed to be able to like talk like a human, but it's not a human. You are the human. It's not perfect. It doesn't always get things right. So I think our biggest caveat on this and kind of warning with AI is like recognize what it is and what it isn't and use it cautiously and thoughtfully and intentionally, just like we say to like, I don't know, use your money.
yeah, I think of it like Spock in Star Trek for any Star Trek people.
I don't even know what that means, but tell me more.
Spock was a Vulcan. And
Okay.
the Vulcans...
You've lost me on. I had
Yeah.
a better understanding of Spock before you said Vulcan.
Vulcans were a species of...
Spock's?
species.
Okay.
And they are very smart and very logical, but they don't have the same type of emotional reasoning and...
Could you be attracted to a Vulcan?
I mean, they have nice pointy ears.
I was about to say, when you said they have nice, I was like, they have nice what, Greg? How do you spell Vulcan, Greg?
Vulcan.
Okay, I did just type into ChatGPT, what is a Vulcan? Apparently it's something in Roman mythology. Vulcans are a fictional extraterrestrial humanoid species known for their logical minds and pointed ears. Most famous Vulcan is Spock. Okay.
Yeah. So they're very logical, but they're low on the EQ. I wouldn't say they're immoral, but they don't even see morals the way humans do because they don't wrestle with emotions and the emotional impact of things. So it's this super little logical thing over here, but it's not going to bring morals into the equation or ethical ramifications of things.
I like it when you start talking about Vulcans and like Star Trek, Greg. I don't get to see this side of you come out that often.
Long live and
Live long and prosper. Even I know that, dude.
live long and prosper.
Okay, it's getting even sexier. He's doing some like hand signals with that. Okay, speaking of sexy, Greg, final warning about AI that I may have learned from personal experience. And I couldn't remember like the specifics of this, but I do know like you cannot ask AI inappropriate questions. Like, I think I one time asked it something about sex, something. I don't even remember what. I think we were like with some friends and I was just like playing around and it was early in the AI days and I was like, oh, what can this do? And I couldn't remember exactly what I can't remember what I said. It was probably some like immature middle school question. And now it would help you if you asked a question that was probably like, I want to talk to my middle school teenage girls about sex. Like, what are some things? I mean, maybe that. I don't know. I should type that in. But I did just as an example. I wanted to kind of like find an example of how I can like what you can't ask AI basically. So I just typed in. Did you type something in?
I did, but
did you get shut down? Let's see what we both typed in.
Okay.
What? Sorry, I want to hear yours first. I got shut down right away.
So mine gave me an answer, actually.
Oh, well, here, I got shut down, so
Okay.
let me read mine first. What are some good sexual positions to spice up my sex life? I'm sorry, but it seems I can't help out on this one.
And who answered that? Who
That was Copilot.
Okay. So I asked ChatGPT, what is the most effective way to make a woman have an orgasm?
Oh.
Asking for a friend. Of course. That's what I had to...
What did it say?
It said, it gave me a number of things. I won't go through every detail, but it talked about having an
But
emotional
later,
connection
will you
and
go through
communication
every detail
first.
later?
It talked about foreplay, different techniques. And the
Okay.
last thing it said at the end is it said, aftercare is important. Gentle touch, cuddling, and reassuring words enhance intimacy and overall satisfaction.
I shouldn't have knocked AI for its lack of emotional intelligence, because that's actually like a pretty thorough answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting. It clearly has a line, right? Like I asked for sexual positions and it was like, nope. You ask for like how to like, I kind of appreciate that like it gave you an answer to yours. Because I mean, think about how many guys out there could look, dudes. There's probably some guys that need to type that in, you know?
Yeah.
Not you, Greg, but I'm sure somebody out there. Okay, wait. I want to now put in, I need to talk to my middle school girls about sex. Where should I start? Because that's like a conversation that stresses a lot of parents out.
Yeah, I agree. That should be...
This is good. So it said like talking to middle school girls about sex is a crucial and sensitive conversation. It's important to blah, blah, blah. Approach this topic with care, openness, and respect for their curiosity and concerns. Here are some tips. And it's like, and it has like more detail under each of these, but it's like create a safe space, use an age appropriate language, be honest and factual, discuss consent and boundaries, talk about healthy relationships, address online safety, answer questions honestly, encourage open communication. Dude, this is why I love AI. Like I'm getting ahead of ourselves here, but like there's so many things you can use it for.
Right. I agree. I think we should move on, but one last caveat is that
Did you ask it another question?
I didn't.
Oh, okay, sorry.
is that AI isn't perfect. It
Yes.
doesn't always get things right. It is pulling from things on the internet. And as we all know, the internet is full of some great factual information and a lot of opinions, and perhaps factual information that was once thought to be correct that is now
Debunked. Yeah.
So AI isn't perfect. It is a great starting point. It's a tool. It's not always perfect. Just know that as you use it for various tasks.
Yeah.
So, Maggie, how do we use AI? Let's talk a little bit about how someone might use it.
Yeah, and when we say how to use it, I mean like literally you might hear us talking about like us typing in these questions and you're like, where are you typing in that question at? So I really want to like get real basic here and real simple and say you go to a website or you download an app and then you type in you often need to create an account and you type in a prompt. But let us say first, there are free and paid ways to access artificial intelligence and AI, like chatbots, as many people call them, right? My point of view on this is there are so many tools that are robust and available for free that I've never paid for any sort of tool other than some other tools that I already pay for, like Canva or something that leverages AI for certain things behind the scenes. But like just for a chatbot specifically, there are paid ones, but like we are only using free ones. And that's really, I think the free ones provide a very robust and thorough experience for the average user. So we're not suggesting you need to pay for anything to access AI, just to be clear.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, really there's four, probably more, but four very widely available AI chatbot tools that are able to be utilized for free. Those are ChatGPT, which most people have heard of because they were kind of the ones that burst on the scenes first. There's Microsoft Copilot. There's Google Gemini. and there's Grok, which is on X or Twitter. And all of those have a free version. And really the difference when you get into the paid tiers is that they just allow you to do more searches. But we found as free users that we rarely run out of free searches or conversations. And on the rare occasion I have, if I've been using it to help with homework, then I will switch from one to the other.
Yeah.
So that's a way that you can get to that. But for the average user, the free version usually is more than enough searches. And that's kind of when you get into the paid tiers, there's more searches. You can do more around image generation or video generation. But for the average user, the free version of any of those four is very sufficient.
Yeah, and even with like Microsoft Copilot, if you have a Microsoft Office account, you get I believe an unlimited amount of searches.
Or an enhanced number.
More. I've never hit the limit. I'll put it that
Yeah.
way. And sometimes if like you do a paid version, it'll also like save your search history, and you can save different prompts and answers and stuff like that. But again, that's not a big priority for me. If I was using it every day professionally, I might invest in a paid tool.
Well, and Copilot even, they used to limit free version with your Microsoft 365 to just chat interactions, but now they've integrated Copilot in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and now they even have a fixed number of uses within those included in your membership. So now you can even use it for more enhanced features beyond just the chat version, as well as you can with Gemini and all of Google's products.
Okay, so in addition to all of those that we just mentioned, and we'll put links in the show notes to all of those, but in addition to those, there's also a bunch of like what I'd call more like specialty AI tools. The ones we just mentioned are primarily chat-based and word-based, but then there's other tools that do things like, there's Character.ai, which is like an AI-driven storytelling and interaction tool. There's a tool called Midjourney that's for creating AI-generated art. There's a tool called Claude AI that's for, specifically for creative writing and content collaboration. There's a tool called Quillbot that's really targeted towards writers and useful for like paraphrasing and improving written content. There's a tool called DeepL that does like really good AI translations. And so there's all of these other tools. There's ones that do images. I mean, you could do some like really crazy, fun, often like useless in terms of like real needs I have in my life. But there's tools, there's ones where you can like, request custom images, and you can say like, here's a picture of my family. I want you to make me a cover for our Christmas card that has us standing on a beach in Tahiti, all holding a cat and with a Inside Out Money tattoo on our right forearm. And we're wearing tie-dye shirts.
Well, one thing I use AI for on that same topic is, you guys probably know, might assume we don't buy cards for each other. Like, it's just a lot of money.
It's a waste of money to buy greeting cards, in my opinion.
Completely agree. But we do like writing each other, like the act of writing cards for each other. So I've actually started using AI to create a little cover image for a card that I will print for Maggie. And that's just kind of a fun way to use AI to customize something, and it shows that you put a little thought into it. So just a little helpful tip there on using AI for...
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm a very creative person, and I like to draw out and write, make a card cover, but it's perfect for someone like Greg, who he's not going to make me a picture on my kids who will draw a card for me, you know what I mean? So he had it was cute. He's used AI for a number of things, cards and stuff like that. And then also, I'm just going to give a quick shout out to myself here. For Valentine's Day, I wrote Greg a poem. And I'm not going to read you the whole poem because there's some sections that are private between us. But the very first line of the poem I'll read to you because it actually mentions AI. Happy Valentine's Day, Greg. Hello there. Oh, hi. I want to start with, I didn't write this with AI. These are my own words. I can promise you that. So let's have a little Valentine's Day chat. That was my own words. But
that was really good. Yeah.
But you could ask AI to write you a poem that's the kind of fun stuff it'll do. You could say write a poem for my partner or spouse or whoever, and then you could tell them some things that you want to be incorporated. You could say I want to mention these 10 things that happened this year. I want to, you can get really specific, and yeah, there's just so much you can do. So let's shift to that. we're going to wrap this episode up by talking about a bunch of different ideas and specific prompts, which are, we'll talk about like what a prompt is, but it's literally like the question you put in. So done. We just talked about what a prompt is. But we're going to talk about specific ideas and like categories of ideas of what you could use AI for to help your finances and to help your life in general. We're just going to kind of like rattle through these somewhat quickly.
Well, the first thing is that you can use AI to help make you better at your job.
Yeah, that's what we said earlier, is like we both wish this was around when we had jobs because it would have made us better. I often would like, people would say I was good at communication, but I wasn't concise at communication. And so like I would write these long emails that I was like updating people about something, but then I would spend like an hour or something trying to like be more concise or just like pare it down. My boss used to always joke and tell me he'd give me $1 for every word I removed from like an email or presentation. Never, I mean, he did pay me very well, but I never got the actual dollars for removing words. But I would literally have put emails in, and this is where you need to be careful about data and like security and privacy of like, you know, I'm not suggesting you put like company secrets into AI, but like, you know, you can take out some of the confidential stuff. And you can put in an email that you're writing to something where we talk about like breaking up with your financial planner, and that's like an awkward conversation. Like ask AI to write an email breaking up with your financial planner for you, right? It can do. I would have had it. My point is, I would have had it help me make emails more concise, as an example. It can make you sound more like an expert in something at work, you know, like fake it till you make it. If all of a sudden you're getting pulled into a project and it's on some new topic like content management systems, and you're like, oh, I don't really know much about this, but like ask it to give you right in there and say, hey, can you give me like at a very high level, I've got 10 minutes before a meeting. Can you give me 10 minutes worth of content about everything I should know about content management systems in the travel industry? It will give you an answer to that, right? So it could help summarize really complex information.
Even PDFs. I mean, say you have a paper that someone gave you, or a research study, and it's multiple pages. You can ask AI to read it and summarize it for you. And it can pull out the most important, pertinent parts that you need to know.
Yeah.
I mean, it can just do things to make your life easier. And again, all these examples, we're trying to give examples that we think are ethical uses of it. You're not asking it to replace you or to do your job for you. But if you would have had to go read 5 different pages and then kind of in your mind summarize that and synthesize it, it can do that for you. Doesn't mean you shouldn't go skim those, but it allows you to pick up the pertinent information more quickly, which makes you more effective in your role.
Totally. So here, I just came up with this example on the spot, Greg. But I want to give you guys real examples and real prompts of how we would use it as we do these. So here's, to close out it can make you better at your job. Here's a real example I would have used it for in my job. I had to write a lot of reviews for people. And I obviously, this needs to be in my words, and I know what this person did, and often they would have already written a self-appraisal. But our review system at some point had a summary and capped it at like 500 words or something. I don't remember what it was. Let's call it 500 words. And I'm not concise, so I would write like a fucking like really long journal about like how awesome you were and, you know, whatever. And I could put into ChatGPT, I could say, and the more context you give ChatGPT or AI, the better it will do. So you could say, hey, write a 500 word, like here's what I've already written. And then you paste it in and say, I need this to be 500 words. Can you please rewrite this and summarize this into 500 words? Or you can say, which is what I would have said, I would have written my role. I would have said, you know, I manage a digital team. I would have said some things like, I would have written a prompt for AI that said something like, I am doing my team's end of year reviews, and I have already written a summary of this person's performance, but my performance system requires it be in 500 words or less. I tend to be fairly serious in my tone, but also injecting some level of levity or humor. And I am looking for a, you know, professionally written, blah, blah, blah. Like write some words out about like your writing style and what you're looking for. And you just, my point is you can get really specific. And then if when you get a reply back, you can say, that sounds too rigid. I would like it to be a little bit more, like a little bit more of a positive tone. It sounds too negative, whatever it might be. But I would have used it to help summarize and pare down certain like annual reviews. It would have been a really helpful use case that could have saved me hours. Okay, next example.
Also in the job world is it can help you get prepared for an interview in a number of ways. It can help you understand the industry better, the company that you're interviewing with, by providing a summary. It can help prep interview questions, help practice with them. You could specifically prompt it. I am interviewing for this type of role with this company.
You can paste in the full job description.
And then it would generate questions that would be likely the types of questions that you would be asked and help provide answers to those.
You can even say, what are some good follow-up questions that I can ask at this company to make me sound like a good candidate?
And it can review your resume and give help content, help you. And again, if you take your existing resume, you're not just asking it to come up with a resume for you. You're taking your real information, your real background, your real experiences, but you're saying, help me communicate this concisely and effectively. And it's going to take all that information and it's going to help put it in a format that would be easier to read, easier to digest to a recruiter.
You could say, here is my resume. Here is the job description. I would like to do a few things to better customize my resume to this specific job description. And that could be a prompt. And again, I'm not saying you take it verbatim, what they send you back, because you want to be careful for multiple reasons, but then you re-review it and rewrite it and take some of that guidance to customize your resume. You can also just say, I'm interviewing for a job and I haven't interviewed in 10 years and I'm nervous and I'm scared and I don't know what to wear. And you could just like, you could just lay out all the crap you're afraid of and all the things you're feeling, and you would be shocked at what it would come back with. It will talk you down from being nervous. It will build you up. It will give you some confidence. It will give you confidence with like real information of like, you know, it's normal to be nervous. Like it's just, but you shouldn't be. And here's why. And you should just make sure you prepare and make sure you know, all of these things. And so it's just a really, really helpful tool for so many things. And I'll give you some examples on this in a little bit more, but just on the like job interview, it kind of can act like a therapist a little bit. I'm not saying it should replace a therapist, but like if you're stressed about a job interview, you can share your feelings to AI and it will come back with feelings and it will make you feel better about things. Okay, next category. It can help you improve your financial knowledge and answer specific financial questions. So if you are in the middle of doing your taxes and you are confused about something, you can go ask it a very specific question and it will, like back to the sourcing thing, it will sometimes, back to the sourcing thing, it'll actually source like an IRS page and website about that topic, but it will summarize it for you in language that, no offense to the IRS website, but in language that's like a little bit easier to digest than what you might read in some like deep IRS guidelines. You could ask it a detailed question about, the federal 401k limit this year, and that you're trying to make sure you evenly distribute your contributions along your paycheck and you have this much left in pay for the year, and what percentage should you put towards your 401k for the rest of the year. It can do math. It can do detailed calculations like that.
Yeah, and again, while you would not use it for specific investment advice, I've asked it questions such as, how should I allocate funds across taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-free accounts? And I gave it information about my age, my retirement status, how much I have in savings. And it gave some very good overall advice. Now, the specific ratios of how much you want and different things, don't know that I would follow it exactly, but it really talked about having taxable accounts and using stock index funds. And it's really pretty cool, the amount of specific advice it gave. And then it even said, here's your tax strategy. Hold anything for over a year so that you qualify for long-term capital gains instead of short-term. Use tax harvesting to offset capital gains. Live off dividends and capital gains before withdrawing from retirement accounts. I mean, it's pretty cool, like some of the advice it will give you.
Yeah. Another example in this category, you could use AI to help you have better tools for teaching your kids about money. And you could be really specific. So you can say, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I have 3 kids. it's a blended family. They have other parents that are teaching them other things about money, but like, what can we teach them in our household? I just typed in a prompt as an example and I wrote, I have 3 teenage girls and I want to teach them about money and get them to have a better appreciation for money. What should I do? And then it has like it gives a little intro. It's like, here are some practical tips to help them develop a better understanding and appreciation for money. And it's like bulleted out and bolded, and it's like, open a bank account, budgeting, allowance and chores. And then under each of these, it's got like 10 items talking about needs versus wants, savings goals, investing, smart shopping, real life experiences. Under each of them, it gives more detail. It says, real life experiences, involve them in a real life financial decision. For example, take them to the grocery store and help them plan a budget-friendly meal. Explain how you make financial decisions as a family. I can then double click on any one of these and say, hey, actually, can you give me more examples about real life experiences and other things I can do? So you can zoom in or zoom out and like ask follow-up questions, and it knows what it just told you. It remembers what it just told you, and then it like gives you more, a more refined answer based on you asking something specific. So there's a lot you can do in that category. And the thing I would say, even this is where like, I think it's just kind of fun to play around with AI and just see where it takes you. So like, if you've been thinking about hiring a financial coach for something, go type in the questions that you would have asked a financial coach and just see what you get back. You'd be shocked how helpful some of it could be.
One of the things that I use AI for the most and that I find very helpful is helping the kids with homework, and specifically helping them learn to do certain things. And so, to be clear, I'm not saying that your kids should use AI to do the homework for them.
Yeah, he's not sending the kids to AI when they ask for help.
Yeah.
He's going to AI.
Yeah, and most often it's with things like math. We've got a high school student who's doing math that I don't remember how to do, kind of advanced algebra or
she's working on chemistry
something
stuff
else. Yeah,
that I don't
chemistry
remember.
equations. And she says, how do I do this? I don't know how to do it. But what I can do is I can actually, even if it's a complex equation, I can use the voice function and I can speak to it and say, how do I solve this? And I don't say just give me the answer. I say, how do I solve this equation? And it's incredible, the step-by-step detail that it will give you on how to solve an equation. And then I go through that with my kids. And there's been complex things that they've learned how to do something that I'm sure their teacher went over it, but for whatever reason it didn't land. They've actually learned how to do it from the instructions that we got from a chatbot. And so it's really cool and helpful for that. I use it all the time when I'm trying to teach them how to do math.
There's even this app called Photomath, which like I feel like a lot of parents with middle school kids are introduced to. It is using AI behind the scenes to solve math problems. So you can actually take a picture of a real like math problem. Not only does it give you the answer, it actually teaches you how to get to the answer with a step-by-step explanation and often an animated tutorial. It's an amazing app if you're ever trying to like help your kids with math homework. It is amazing for the parents to be able to. Also, it makes you like look like you actually remember some of this stuff. So you back to the like whether you want to disclose you're using AI or not, your own decision whether you want to disclose to your kids that you're using AI to help them with their homework or not. But yeah, it's a cool thing. Another category. Ultimately, time is money. AI can save you a lot of time. So think about things that might take you a lot of time in your life and think about where you can leverage AI to save you time. So a couple examples might be if there's a really long article you need to read for something, you can cut and paste it into an AI prompt and say, can you give me a 1 minute or 500 word? You can get really specific on a time thing or on a number of words. Or you can just say, could you give me a concise summary of this article? And it'll do its best job to summarize it for you. It can, help you write up a guide of something that you need to document. Maybe you've got a volunteer role and you're trying to, I've documented some of the volunteer roles I've had to transition them to other people. And I've used AI to help like outline and organize and even just remember the categories of things I need to document. We talked about some of the like homework help and, things like that. But I would think about things you need to do that will take you a lot of time. Ask AI for help. It really it is just fascinating to me. I can't think of something AI can't do, some category of my life that it can't help me with lately.
Yeah, I think the more you use it too, the more you'll realize its applications in
Yeah.
all kinds of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to confess something, Greg.
Okay.
And I added this category like an hour before we recorded this episode. I believe AI can help you with your mental health and well-being. I was thinking about this when we were talking about work examples too, right? I think about all the times that I like struggled with, how to have a difficult conversation with somebody. And, I would talk to someone at work and get some counsel or something. And then eventually I was the counsel. But it's stressful when you're like a new manager and you don't know how to have a tough conversation and like go in and like you can kind of vent and complain and ask for counsel and advice from AI, and you will get it back in a pretty like compassionate and thoughtful manner. And you can even tell it like, I need you to be kind with me, versus you can say like, I just need you to listen, versus I'm looking for solutions. The same thing you should say to a real life person. But like, I was frustrated at Greg about something earlier this morning.
Shocking.
It is a little shocking, Greg, because you're actually a pretty awesome, amazing person.
And when I say shocking, that was not a reflection of Maggie, more that
Me, I know. Oh, it's self-deprecating, but that was my point. Is you shouldn't be self-deprecating because you're an awesome person. You're great. But I get frustrated. I'm, I can be difficult. I have expectations that are often very unrealistic. And I was frustrated about something. It was pretty stupid, but I was like frustrated about it. It's not even worth mentioning. I went into AI and gave some specifics about this. We were like about to do this episode, and I was just like curious. I was like, I wonder what it would tell me, like what it would tell me to say to Greg and what it would tell me to do. And it gave really good advice. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because, again, can I read actually something it said to me, Greg?
I think so.
Okay. Like it just, I was like, I don't even need to get into the specific situation because it doesn't matter and it's over and I've moved on. But like the way that it talked back to me, I was like really impressed. And it said, I'm going to give you one excerpt. This is its answer back to me. It's tough when you're feeling like the bad guy, especially when you're trying to be thorough and considerate in your decisions. It sounds like you're carrying a lot of the responsibility, and that can be exhausting. In these moments, a good start might be open communication with your husband. Maybe he doesn't fully realize how this dynamic affects you. Blah, 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 blah. It's just like, it was really... And then at the end, it was like, you've got a lot on your plate, but with some shared effort, it might help to lighten the load and create a more unified front. I was genuinely impressed by its responses to me on, in the moment, instead of me going off and just like getting all in my head about something and like, stewing on a topic or whatever it might be. I went in and typed how I was feeling to AI, and it came back with like, it was like an on-call therapist, And I'm not discounting like professional therapy because I'm a big fan of it, but like, I'm not currently seeing anyone right now in terms of a therapist. It's pretty expensive. I don't have a job. I'm early retired. And it's not a big priority right now in my life, but it was like pretty cool. Like my point is, I think I might start using AI. If you ever see me like alone, upset in a corner, Greg, I'm just talking to my AI therapist.
No, that is pretty cool. It's neat that it was that effective.
Yeah.
I've not used it that way before, but...
I didn't even think about it until, so that's my point of like, I'm constantly thinking about new things. But maybe another like mental health or well-being thing could be, you just, at the end of a long day, you're like, look, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I've got 3 kids, whatever, like I work this many hours a week, whatever you want to type into it. Do you have any ideas for how I can get more sleep, improve my life, whatever it might be, like have less stress in my life? Like, it will come back with ideas, and those ideas are taken from other experts and sources across the internet and across, all of these sources. And so it's just, I don't know, just the possibilities are fascinating and endless. Let's hit our final 2 examples.
Okay. Well, one thing that I like to use it for is to help with vacation planning. And it's really cool what you can use it for. And again, this is something where you can start with AI, and then you can tweak it based on your own personal preferences or the preferences of your family. But next time you're going somewhere, put in there, we're heading to Iceland with the kids this summer. You can specifically say, I'm going to Iceland in June for 2 weeks with my family, and describe your family and tell it kind of the types of activities you like to do. Ask it to create an agenda for you. It will then create a detailed agenda. When you read through that, you can then say, well, I like this, but I want to focus more on these types of activities. And it will tweak that agenda. If you don't like the way it put it out in a very bulleted form, you can say, okay, I like this, but I want it in a table format. It'll then reconfigure it into a table. And it's a great way to start doing your planning. And again, you can tweak it, but it's amazing the advice that it will give you.
You can say, can you add a column to that table that shows the cost of some of those activities? Okay, so I promised you we'd give you some prompts. Greg gave like examples throughout that, but I'm going to like read you an actual prompt I've written into ChatGPT for our vacation. I'm planning a vacation to Iceland in June for 2 weeks with my husband and 3 teenage girls aged 13, 13, and 16. We like to hike, explore beautiful things in the outdoors, do adventurous stuff, and explore new areas and learn about the environment we're in. Can you put together a detailed 14-day itinerary for us, along with cost and drive times between cities? We want to stay in each city we visit for at least 2 nights. So you could get as specific as I just did. You could get even more specific. You could keep it super high level, see what it tells you, and then get more specific on follow-up prompts. You can attack it multiple different ways.
Yeah, it's been very helpful for us. So definitely utilize that for planning. It will save you a lot of time.
And in addition to vacation planning, final one, you could use it for meal planning. So you can also get very specific. You can say something about the size of your family, about different dietary preferences, about different nutritional needs, different budget constraints. You can ask it for meal plans and meal ideas, and then you can ask it to provide a associated grocery list that is written in a grocery list format, organized by sections of the average grocery store if you want it to. Doing something like that can help you save time, can help you save money, can help you eat out less. We're not always great meal planners, but I actually want to use AI a little bit more for meal planning. And like, I know I'm trying to eat some like lower inflammation foods and like certain things. And so, I mean, we could put in something that says, I want vegan or vegetarian, and I want things that are good for, a woman in her mid 40s. I'm looking for more, less processed foods, lower inflammation foods. And, can you come back with 3 meal ideas, and then things that are kid friendly too,
Yeah. Or even more in the kind of reactive side. If you say you have some food in your pantry that you really want to utilize, a few ingredients, you can say, give me some recipes that use these ingredients, and it'll spit out some cool recipes given those ingredients.
Yeah.
So if you're just trying to get through some food, you don't want to waste it, but you're not really sure how to utilize it.
Yeah.
It can give you some great ideas as well.
You can name the 6 ingredients in your fridge that look like they're about to start growing mold on them, and say, like, I got to get rid of these tonight. Give me a recipe. Okay. We did a lot here, Greg.
We did. I think we covered a good number of uses.
One final tip I will give you guys on AI that a friend of mine, shout out to Matt, former coworker and friend, who is like really, he's actually thoughtfully transitioned into working in the AI field now, and I think is doing AI consulting. And we've exchanged a few conversations on AI over the last couple of years. He reminded me of this. There are a lot of influencers that are sharing content and fun ideas and like new ways to use AI. And so I have a short list that he shared with me, and I'll put them in the show notes, but it's just worth mentioning that like if you are interested in doing this, you can follow some different influencers out there on some of the social media websites that will give you some like, fun ideas and hacks and different ways to use AI that, again, the possibilities are like limitless. Like these are some of the ideas we've had and heard of and used ourselves. But, 6 months ago, I wasn't using AI for vacation planning. I didn't think about it actually till Matt sent me something and I saw it in one of these videos and I was like, oh, what a great use for it. Hadn't really thought about it in that way. I just say there's a lot of great content out there that can inspire you and give you ideas for how to better use AI. And we'll put a link in the show notes to some of those influencers. And by the way, the show notes are always available on our website at insideoutmoney.org. And you can get to them. You can get to a link to the show notes from any of the podcast apps where you're listening to this. Okay. You know what else you could use AI for, Greg?
What?
If you want to write us a written review and you're like, I'm actually being serious here. We're trying to get to 200 reviews by our 100th episode, which is like 2 episodes away from this one. And we're almost there. We're like 20, 25 away. If you don't know what to say in a written review and you're like, I don't know, I get it. You go blank sometimes. Just say, I want to write a quick review for a podcast that I absolutely love and adore. What's something fun I could write? Like it'll give you, it'll do anything and everything for you. It's just fun. I'm like really, I'm like a Vulcan about this. I don't know what Vulcans are. I'm just misusing that term, but it's just fun. I just like kind of nerd out. This makes me actually want to like think about just more stuff I can use AI for. It's like a fun, cool tool. It's just like your friend. It should just be in your back pocket at all times. And like, we said this last week in the free episode, the episode about free stuff with Liz. Like, I always want to sort of think free first. I almost want to like think AI first. Like when I'm about to go do something, like we're doing a bit of a remodel project on something. I'm like, how could I use AI to help me with that? How could I, like everything I'm like struggling with or challenged with in my life, like how could I use AI to help me with that? If I'm like frustrated that the kids aren't picking up their book bags and shoes, I can ask AI, how can they help with that?
Well, hopefully this has been useful for everyone. I think it's been fun for me to kind of just talk through it, and hopefully it will inspire me to utilize it even more.
Yes. Greg, I just want to tell you, like, I just wrote a prompt and I said, every time my kids come in the house, they dump their shoes and book bags at the door and it drives me crazy. What can I do? And it even said, I can see how that would be frustrating. Here are some strategies to help get those shoes and book bags under control. And it's like, create a designated space, use labels, implement a routine, set an example, reward system, make it fun, regular reminders, discuss the importance. Okay, we've done a lot of these things, so maybe this is not the best example. But yes, that is our way of wrapping up this episode. So AI, we love it.
We do.
Use it carefully, responsibly, thoughtfully. And yeah, it's not going to give you sexual position ideas, but it can teach you how to do so many other things and help you in so many other facets of life. Actually, I say that, but there probably is a paid AI somewhere that will give you all the things that the like free ones will.
I'm sure there is. Yeah.
We haven't done research on that yet, but follow-up episode. Okay. We'll wrap it up. Greg starts to give me a look after a while where he's like, okay, let's wrap it up. Okay.
It's just kind of like, I don't know how many more thoughts there could be on this.
I'm always like, the final thought. Okay, we appreciate you guys listening. If you're still here with us, we know your time is limited and valuable. We appreciate you spending some of it with us. If you've enjoyed this episode, we do really appreciate it if you want to give us a written review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. We really appreciate it. And this is a good episode to share with someone, with like a friend or family member, because I do think the average person I talk to is not using AI at all.
That's
or
interesting.
Very little.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Really?
Yeah. But it could just be because
Like you think if you went and asked Ben if he's using AI.
I would assume so, but maybe not.
I bet you he is. We're naming random friends. I bet it's 50-50, but you never know. I'm going to ask. We're doing a meetup tomorrow. This meetup will have already happened.
That would be interesting.
But yeah, I'm going to ask people like who's using AI. We'll see. Okay, you tell us. We'll never really know. So you tell us if you're using AI.
If you have any thoughts or questions, or want to let us know if you're using AI, we would love to hear from you. You can leave us a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370, or hit us up on Instagram. This was fun. Thanks, Maggie.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Bye, Greg.
Bye.
I could have AI write a new closing for the podcast, actually.